OpenAI hosted their first developer conference in San Francisco on Monday. In this video, I'm going to count down my top 10 announcements they made and what it means for builders and founders. Over the weekend, I asked you if you were going to watch OpenAI's DevDay. 43% of you said you didn't know it was going on. Well, if you didn't know then, you probably know now. It's hard to avoid all the hype. It was their chance to tell the world about all the cool stuff they were building. Best of all, most of the announcements they made were immediately available to start building with. Hello, good people. It was an absolutely stunning event. Great design, great vibe, and great execution. I haven't seen this type of hype in a while, and it didn't feel overly corporate either. Just a bunch of builders looking to do hood rat stuff with their friends. I hosted a watch party with Harry Tormey and Niall O'Higgins over at the GP in San Francisco. A bunch of people got together to nerd out on AI announcements. It's fun getting to chat with people away from the keyboard, but after the event, I was exhausted. From all the announcements, I needed to have a fresh sleep, a cup of coffee, and a good think on how I actually feel about these announcements. Well, that time is over, and I'm excited to share with you thoughts and reflections on my top 10 favorite announcement from OpenAI's DevDay. Let's get into it. Number 10. Custom models. You can now work with OpenAI researchers to go deep on model building for your specific use case. It's fine, but it'll run you about $2 to $3 million to do so. This is an interesting services play for OpenAI. What's even more interesting to me is the opportunity for other agencies to provide fine-tuning as a service. You won't go all the way down to the model building like you will with OpenAI, but you can help customers understand fine-tuning best practices and even do it for them. I think there's a huge market for this as customers think that fine-tuning will help them with their performance use cases. Number 9. GPT-4 fine-tuning. It's well known that GPT 3.5, when it's fine-tuned, exceeds GPT-4 on some tasks. Even if the performance is the same as GPT-4, you get a massive drop in cost and latency. So if you fine-tune GPT 3.5 and it's as good as GPT-4, what happens when you fine-tune GPT-4? Well, I think we're going to see some really cool things here. Number 8, text-to-speech API. We already had good text-to-speech with 11 Labs and PlayHT.
I'm not an oracle or anything, but I'll do my best here.
So this one isn't a big unlock, but I like how you can now consolidate the vendors that you work with and get the product quality of OpenAI. How long do you think it'll be until they allow custom voices? Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Number 7, ChatGPT backed by GPT-4 Turbo. ChatGPT is now powered by the new GPT-4 Turbo model. I love it. I use ChatGPT for my ad hoc quick tasks. I'll take a speed boost here all day long. Number 6, GPT-4 Turbo 128,000 token context length. This one's a bit controversial. GPT-4 now has the ability to ingest 128,000 tokens worth of context. This is practically an entire book. On one hand, you have the crowd that says, oh my God, now we can put a book in GPT-4. This changes everything. But we could already do that via breaking it up into parts. You'll get lower latency with a single API call, but what about the performance hit? I'm currently pressure testing the 128,000 context limit with a needle in the haystack analysis. I'll drop a random fact in the middle of a large context window to see if GPT-4 can pull it out. Sign up for the newsletter or follow me on Twitter if you want to see those results. Number 5, GPT 3.5 and 4 price reduction. So GPT-4 is not only better, but now it's cheaper. I like that combo. As the price reduces, you start to drop the barrier to entry on a few use cases. For example, a use case that I heard yesterday from Niall O'Higgins was, well, what if you're in the data monitoring game? Passing in a bunch of logs to GPT-4 can be quite expensive, but at half the costs, now you can increase the flow of data that you pass through it. I think we're going to see some more interesting examples here. Number 4, Dolly API. See, I love this one. It's so high on my list because it's a net new capability that millions of developers now have. But Greg, what about all the other APIs with Stable Diffusion and Midjourney? Sure, but I don't want to have to access Discord API to get what I need from it. I think we're going to see millions of photos flooding apps near you. Let's jump into the top 3 biggest announcements from Monday. Number 3, assistant GPTs in the API. Okay, now we're getting to the serious part of the list. OpenAI isn't messing around anymore. What is the assistant GPT API? Well, now you have little mini bots that you can start to code up. You can give them extra context and you can start to programmatically give them rules that they should follow. It's kind of like a prepackaged chatbot that you can give to users. But let's talk about what the assistance API actually does. Well, number 1, now you have the code interpreter API. This means OpenAI will run a bit of code on their end and give you the result. This is great for longer math and file transformations. Up until now, it was only available via the UI, but having it available via the API means that devs can offload a ton of hacks that they were doing to try to get this done before. Number 2, you now have file retrieval. So assistants can reference files that you've uploaded. OpenAI will take care of the chunking, the embeddings, and the retrieval for you. This sounds pretty good on paper, right? For no-code builders, I think this is going to be a huge unlock. You don't have to worry about building retrieval anymore. But for devs, I predict that they're going to want more control over the retrieval process than OpenAI will give them. Not only that, but it's super expensive to host files with OpenAI. Number 3, you'll also get persistent threads. This is nice and convenient because thread management per user was a pretty annoying issue that developers had to worry about for a while. Number 2, GPT App Store. Now, you would think this would be number 1, but it was dethroned just because of my uncertainty around the adoption. Yes, the demos are cool, and yes, there's big promise, but I haven't yet seen the evidence of user need to call this one game-changing quite yet. If it does work, then it's the beginning of a massive product opportunity. But there's a couple facts to keep in mind. Building marketplaces is extremely hard. Plugin adoption didn't go very well, but monetary incentives to build apps can drive crazy adoption and building. But there's still a few problems. Consumers will need to pick which GPT they want, and they'll also need to proactively trigger these GPTs to do work for them. On the flip side, I like this because you don't have to share your prompts anymore. You can just share your assistant and get a review on the assistant. It's super annoying when you go on LinkedIn and you see 150 new ChatGPT prompts that you need. Now, instead of just giving me the prompts, give me the value inside of an entire GPT bot. I also love the creative profiles. It's pretty cool how you can start to connect with the community via builder profiles. Another low-key announcement that OpenAI made was they're going to do revenue sharing for the GPTs that you build. This is pretty cool because now there's an incentive to share the GPTs that you build and even do marketing for them. The biggest question in everybody's mind now is, well, how many startups are dead? What about the ChatGPT wrappers? My quick answer is no. These startups aren't dead yet, but they do control their own fate and it's not looking that great. If you want to see an example about the future of these wrappers, you don't have to look any further than PDF.ai. They're a huge example about where this is going. They're about as wrapper as you can get, but my hypothesis is that if you can build a lot of products around your wrapper experience and provide a better experience than OpenAI for your customers, then you're going to be okay. Now, finally, on to my favorite announcement from yesterday. Number 1, GPT Vision API. Lowering latency and cost on other models are cool, but how often do you have a new modality at your service? After GPT-4V came out in the UI, I wrote a blog post on how people were using it. They were all doing it in one-shot examples, meaning you give GPT-4V a single photo and it'll give you a response. But now that the API is opened up, we're seeing a whole new class of interactions. People are demoing real-time identification via webcams. This opens up semantic search and understanding of video as well. There's huge applications for interpreting what's on your computer screen, what's on a security camera. Well, what about Meta's Ray-Ban glasses? Or what about extracting unstructured data? Or maybe the moderation use case? I put this one up above the GPT store because, well, my confidence is high on this one. And I know that's a controversial thing to say. And the future is hard to predict, but I'm willing to bet that this is where we're going to see some of the most immediate value from. So how do we get started? Well, the answer is same as always. You need to go tinker. You need to go have fun, and you need to build an intuition for these tools. Go find problems you're passionate about solving, and go find customers willing to pay you for that value. Let me know about your own reactions to DevDay in the comments. We'll see you later.